Welcome back to Native Speaker e-learning.
Okay, so in this clip we're going to look at how to take some of the cause and effect phrases that we've been practicing over the last number of lessons and put them into an impersonal opinion phrase. Impersonal opinion phrases are very useful for essay writing, especially in IELTS, when you're trying to say what everybody else thinks, but you want to do it in an academically appropriate way. In other words, a style that's good for essays. So we'll begin with our cause and we'll end with our effect. And here in the middle, we'll put in the opinion phrase, this impersonal opinion phrase.
Using impersonal opinions that describe cause and effect. Firstly, you'll need a subject that's a cause, and then you'll need an object that's an effect. In the middle, you'll need an impersonal opinion phrase and a cause and effect phrase. In the impersonal opinion phrase, you'll need have or has, an adverb, been, described or identified as. And in the cause and effect phrase, you'll need verb ing, a, an or one, an adverb and or an adjective, and a noun and or preposition.
So here you can see we're going to use the words either have or has because we're going to use the present perfect. Please remember, this is one of the most common mistakes in English. Students constantly forget which form they should use. They're concentrating on the other more complex issues, but they make a very basic mistake. And this does look really bad in your essays when you get this wrong. And it looks bad in any situation, even speaking. So please be careful about that. Now, when we use have and has, the way to remember whether it should be have or has is to ask yourself, is it an it or is it a they? So remember that. Ask yourself if the cause, the subject at the beginning, is an it or a they. Just keep that discipline and you'll be able to do quite well. But try and avoid this mistake. It looks really bad.
As regards have, remember you'll have to use the correct form of the verb here. It sounds simple, but it's one of the most common mistakes in English. Students often use has instead of have and vice versa. So you should ask yourself if the subject is an it or a they. This is good discipline and will help you to make the right decision and to avoid mistakes. For example, drugs is a they, so we say drugs have. Fast food is an it, so we say fast food has. Social media is an it, so we say social media has. Online gambling is an it, so we say online gambling has. The police is a they, so we say the police have. Political corruption is an it, so we say political corruption has. And salt is an it, so we say salt has. Poor quality control is an it, so we say poor quality control has. And Wall Street is an it, so we say Wall Street has. So try to remember these points about have and has, they're very important. Then we're going to use an adverb, and the adverbs we're using here are for the often or sometimes family. The synonyms of often are frequently, repeatedly, and regularly. And the synonyms of sometimes are at times, occasionally, and on occasion. I've included also here because you could use this if you had already used a cause and effect phrase earlier and you wanted to use this format to make a follow-up point. Then you'll need the word been followed by described and identified as. And we're using the present perfect here because it suggests these opinions have been held by people for some time. We're using the passive voice here because it sounds more formal and is a good match for academic or formal writing. Overall, this kind of phrase means that many people have said this many times. So it's not necessarily your opinion, it's an impersonal opinion and refers to what many other people have said about a topic. So you should make sure you use these phrases when you talk about something that many people have made comments about in the past. Don't forget you must use the verb ing form here, then the words a, an or one, and you can see in some cases we've left that empty. Then you'll need the rest of the cause and effect phrase, and if you're not sure about how to build it, don't be afraid to go back and review our cause and effect playlist where you can see how these are built. Remember, these phrases use certain verbs and certain prepositions. One phrase we haven't looked at before is be to blame for. To be to blame for means you did something wrong and it's your fault, so it's very popular. Normally we say I am to blame for, you are to blame for, he is to blame for. But here, because we're using a verb ing to start, then it is being to blame for. Let's have a look now at how these sentences read from beginning to end. Drugs have often been described as playing a major role in social problems. Fast food has sometimes been identified as being a significant contributing factor to obesity. Social media has frequently been described as having an extremely negative impact on teens' social skills. Online gambling has at times been identified as being a key factor in family problems. The police have occasionally been described as being partly responsible for racial tension in some cities. Political corruption has on occasion been identified as being one of the main causes of inequality. Salt has repeatedly been described as causing high blood pressure. Poor quality control has regularly been identified as leading to production problems. And Wall Street has also been described as being to blame for the global economic crisis. And there you can see how we build sentences using impersonal opinions that describe cause and effect.
The have and has mistake is an extremely common mistake, so you must be careful about this. When teachers tell students about the difference between have and has, students tend to throw their eyes up to heaven and say, "We know." Yes, I know you know, but at the same time, this is still one of the most common mistakes in English. So what does that tell you? You've got to be careful. Why did I just focus on identified and described? Well, because I felt that these two were robust. They'll work in many, many situations. Were there other verbs? Yes, there are some, but sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. So in my humble opinion, these two are the best. But again, that's just my opinion. All you have to do is get some practice. That's all from me. Very best of luck, and I'll see you next time.